But it's inevitable that at some point, she's going to have a conversation with a kid who was educated in Florida or Georgia or South Carolina or North Carolina or Kentucky or Virginia or West Virginia or Tennessee or Alabama or Mississippi or Louisiana or Texas or Oklahoma or Arkansas or Missouri or North Dakota or South Dakota or Iowa or...
Oh yeah, here, I can do this.
Hell yeah.
Haven't had a good one of those in a while.
Now it's official.
We're recording 1 hour earlier than usual, which means we are so tired.
Yeah. If you're ever, thinking that the quality of the podcast is decreased, it's because we're recording it very early in the morning and we're not on the top of our game.
Well, but this is how we're trying to launch our careers in media, specifically TV news. And, if you want to be a TV news anchor like we do, you got early mornings. Like they work super early. Or if we want to get radio jobs, which still exist.
That's incredible that they still exist.
And it's high quality stuff that millions and millions of people are listening to every morning. Their radio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking to the biggest local personalities around, promoting, the biggest, most exciting events that Iowa has seen for years.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good segue. This Wednesday, the biggest event that Iowa has seen in years. Wednesday night at Film Scene in Iowa City. Come on out to the first ever Rock Hard Caucus live event where we will be watching some little movies.
Some little movies, yeah. It's
I like
kind
that
of
better than short films. Little movies.
Little movies, yeah, I do too, actually. Yeah, it's a bummer that we couldn't get on any, early morning local TV stations to promote this, because that would have been a lot of fun.
I know that I have connections at KCRG. KCRG does a morning show, and a girl that we went to high school with who probably doesn't like me is on that morning show. So I could have reached out to her, see if we could promote the show.
She probably doesn't like me either then. She didn't like you, then she probably either doesn't know or doesn't like me.
Yeah, I think best case scenario, she doesn't remember me.
Yeah.
I also reached out to KCJJ, the Iowa City radio station that I have talked a little bit of shit about on the podcast because they suck. It's they post a lot of really stupid news stories with just basically copying and pasting police reports. And for some reason they weren't receptive to my request.
So,
no,
what's the name of your podcast again?
Big Penis Radio.
Is that some porn stuff?
Oh shit, I'm floundering. I forgot.
Hard Rock Caucus. So I thought it was some porn stuff.
Thank you. I'm quick on the draw with the soundboard clips. All right, this is Rock Hard Caucus episode 196, which means in a month we will be doing the 200th episode. If all goes according to plan, which is one episode per week. And listen, we've said it several times already. Episode 200, that'll be it. We will be retiring from media. If we don't get the jobs we're aiming for in TV news or early morning radio, we're done.
Yeah. Actually, I think we're passing the torch. So we've talked about it before, but if you want Rock Hard Caucus to continue, it's on you. You have to... You have to do it. Justin is not going to edit it at all.
I will still be collecting the Patreon royalties.
We're actually
every
starting
month.
a Rock Hard Caucus podcast network. And you have to pay us to produce and create your own podcast under the Rock Hard Caucus umbrella.
Yeah, I'll let you. I have a couple microphones at my house. I'll let you come over. You can use my studio space to record.
Oh, wow.
but you have to rent the mics and the space and pay me to upload the files to the internet.
Yeah, because you're using our previously established IP that has a lot of very positive name recognition.
You will be benefiting from our brand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to reiterate, come to the show on Wednesday at Film Scene in Iowa City. First ever Rock Hard Caucus live show happening right before we retire from podcasting. Anyway, episode 196. Let's talk about the biggest news story of the week. I mean, my favorite thing I've read in a long time. A piece posted by Laura Bellin on bleedingheartland.com about Rob Sand, our current state auditor, our future candidate for governor, probably. I'm not going to say future governor because I doubt it. I do not doubt that he will be running.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I just went on his Blue Sky account, and we have late breaking news from Rob Sand here. Posted 3 minutes ago.
Oh no!
Audited. I checked the tapes, and Han shot first. May the 4th be with you all. We are recording on May 4th, by the way. It is Star Wars Day.
You've really just taken the wind out of my sails with that. Look, you all know I'm totally down to talk about Star Wars. I would happily let that just take over the rest of the episode. But he just has to be so annoying about it.
Yeah. There's multiple tapes.
This is a 20-plus-year-old controversy.
Yeah.
Look,
it's not really the tape so much as how they were edited,
Exactly. You may not like it, but George Lucas's after-the-fact editing, altering of his films, that's canon. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. We've moved on.
Okay, let's move on to the article. A text poll tested these positive messages about Rob Sand. And this was posted on Bleeding Heartland on Thursday, May 1st. I implore you to read it. Everyone, this is incredible. State Auditor Rob Sand hasn't made his 2026 plans official, but a text poll that was recently in the field is another data point suggesting he will run for governor. And, somebody forwarded these text messages that they received to Laura, and so she's reporting on what's being polled. Unfortunately, I did not receive this poll.
Yeah, they didn't ask me either. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Based on the wording of the questions, Laura says she would guess that Sand's campaign commissioned the survey. By the way, he currently has over $7.5 million of campaign funds available to him. It's not clear how many Iowans received the poll or whether the survey sample reflected the partisan makeup of the statewide electorate or was tailored for specific groups, such as independent or swing voters. This is all things we don't know. I hope that these poll results are maybe released publicly, but they won't be, right? Once we talk about what's in there, like this is stuff that's going to be internal.
Internal data.
Yeah. All right. Let me read some of the stuff that's in here. The text poll about Sand appeared on research-opinions.com. Research-opinions.com. Which one would you most want to have in your next governor? The survey began with questions about the respondents' voting history, plans to vote in 2026, and general political orientation. Respondents were asked whether they approved of a series of political figures, including President Donald Trump, Iowa Attorney General Brenna Byrd, and State Auditor Rob Sand. Evan, if you were asked whether you approve of these three political figures, would you have the same answer for all three?
Yes, I would. And it would not be yes.
Okay. All right. The next set of questions paired phrases or descriptions and asked, if you had to choose, which one would you most want to have in your next governor? Okay, so we got two different phrases here, and we're going to say which of the two we would prefer our next governor represent, okay? The first pair is works across party lines versus works with both parties.
Very big fucking gap there.
Is this just a choice of like language, because it means the same thing, doesn't it? I would prefer that. I would prefer a governor who doesn't do that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, works across party lines. I think that it sounds better because it says across, which sounds more confrontational.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's right. But yeah, I think something that I would keep in mind right now is that one of the two major parties right now is very fascist right now.
Yeah,
very like more than usual. And
I kind of want someone who just works against both parties. Like that's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah. All right. Next, this is not a pair. This is three different words here. Which of these three would we want our next governor to be? Independent-minded, or moderate, or middle of the road? Who's picking that last one? That sounds like
I know.
A dud.
Yeah.
Middle of the road is a phrase you use to describe something boring and unremarkable, right?
I mean, but it is kind of applicable to Rob Sand.
Yeah. I guess of the three, independent-minded is the least offensive.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would like you to be more collectively minded.
Mm-hmm.
Think a little less for yourself. How about that? And then this last collection of words, nonpartisan versus bipartisan versus anti-partisan.
Well, I mean, going on what I said earlier, anti-partisan.
Yeah, you got to go with that one because it's a little bit. It's a bit of an edge.
A little stronger.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, obviously we can gather from that collection of phrases and words what the Rob Sand 2026 campaign is going to be like.
Shocker.
Yeah. I'm a Democrat, but I'm actually kind of different. I'm more like I'm a little bit more in the middle.
Yeah. I work against the partisan insiders in our state that I will never name at all.
I wonder if he'll ever say the word Republican while he runs for governor.
Yeah.
Next, respondents were asked, now you are going to read all of the qualities you just read once again. Which two qualities would you most want to have in your next governor? I'm listing the qualities in the order they appeared in the image shared with me. I don't know whether my tipster's answers to previous questions influenced the order or whether the survey randomized the order. I appreciate the
I don't think, once you hear
Laura.
The list of these topics or qualities, I don't think there's like they all mean the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all of the stuff that I just read to you, all of those phrases, all those words, which is all different ways of saying the same thing. Not a super ideologically committed individual one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who believes in nothing very strongly.
Mm-hmm.
Next, respondents were shown three descriptions that may sound similar but have important differences. I doubt it. I doubt it. Which one would you most want to have in your next governor? The possible answers were a reformer, a public servant, not a politician, and last, an outsider, not an insider. Which of those three would I prefer? I think maybe the public servant one.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I don't. None of them leave a great taste in my mouth. But
I mean, why is he? Who is Rob Sand an outsider to? Like, hasn't he been involved in politics, like Democratic politics, since like the early 2000s? Like, I mean, he's also not that old, so that's like most of his life, pretty much.
Right? Yeah. Nobody who uses that kind of language like is an outsider in any way that actually matters. You know, like he's. In what way can he frame himself as an outsider?
Yeah.
He's the de facto leader of the Iowa Democratic Party because he's like the last man standing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're elected to statewide office. You're not an outsider. You're an outsider in that like the Republicans who run everything in the state like are keeping you on the outside by like revoking your authority to do your job. And that way you're an outsider.
Yeah. You're outsider in that no one else in the government likes you.
right.
But
Which,
yeah, I mean,
if he, and I assume as part of his campaign, he will be playing that up a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I think would benefit him.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
These monstrous freaks don't like me. Good. Yeah. Please,
that is good.
Please hammer on that. The next two questions asked, which of the following candidates for governor would you be more likely to vote for if this were all you knew about them? All right. Respondents were asked to choose between two pairs of statements. All right. So of these two hypothetical people, which one do you think sounds better? Would you vote for a candidate who cares about people like you versus a candidate who shares your values? What is the difference?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I like the first one better. Because, like, I don't know, shares your values kind of is just like, it's played out.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my values is that I care about people like me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is such a strange poll. Like, it's really just testing various phrasings.
Yeah.
How do these words sound to you? Speak them out loud. How do they feel coming out of your mouth? Do we really need to get other people involved in this? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the same thing we talked about with Democrats, where it's like all about how you say the message and not about the message at all.
Mm-hmm. How much money did they spend testing all of these various phrases? Yeah. You dipping into that 7.5 million yet? Or did Daddy pay for this for you himself?
Well, we can probably find out, right? Do they do quarterly reporting? I think they do quarterly reporting, right?
Yeah, I
for
think
like
so.
Expenditures and contributions and stuff.
Yeah, so I think we should find out about that like July.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to do that. I should look into his filings as he gears up for a gubernatorial run. The other pair here of phrases of hypothetical candidates. One, a candidate who will take Iowa in a new direction versus two, a candidate who will continue Kim Reynolds' legacy. Now, this one I can actually, this is a clear choice, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know, unless Rob Sand is going to...
is he actually considering?
Is he considering this, this tactic here?
Oh, man, that would be strange.
Yeah.
I'm a Democrat, but I actually think she did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Brennan Bird's a rhino.
Yeah, man, I think he's the guy who can pull that off. You know, outflank the Republicans from the right. He can do it because his dad ate a squirrel.
Yeah.
All right. The next set of questions sought to tease out which positive messages about Sand, without using his name, would make voters more likely to support him for governor. Right. So it refers to like a lot of his major accomplishments as auditor, which are, as Laura reports, things that he routinely cites during his town halls and public appearances.
Yeah.
Like the lottery scandal, I assume, comes up a lot. I still got to read that book. We should try to get to that this year.
Oh, yeah, we should.
The Rob Sand book.
Forgot about it.
All right. For each statement, respondents were asked to check much more likely, somewhat more likely, no difference, somewhat less likely, or much less likely. You all know the drill. All right. So of these things, would learning this about a candidate make you more or less likely to support that candidate? Number one, uncovered a record amount of misspent government money in his first term as auditor. Oh, who's this about?
Yeah.
More or less likely to vote for that person?
I think that's freaking sweet, man. I'm going to vote for that.
Next one. Reformed his government office to allow state employees to live in small towns and rural areas far from Des Moines. So they do Zoom meetings?
That sounds
sounds like?
I don't like that. I mean, I think they need to return to the office. I think it's Time.
Move back to Des Moines, you lazy fuckers.
It's been 5 years, man. How are you going to collaborate? How are you going to have a fucking in-office pizza party while y'all get Casey's pizza?
I'm honestly
Like,
a
what
little
the fuck, man?
surprised that he has people working from home. That's what it sounds like, at least, that the state auditor's office has people working from home. Obviously, I'm all for work from home. Evan was joking a minute ago.
I'm kidding. I think they should spread them all across the state like seeds. there should be small pockets of auditors in every corner of the state.
But yeah, for a guy who stresses maximum efficiency so often in the way he talks about government operations, seems like he could probably be criticized on that. Mm-hmm. I think that would be stupid, but I'm sure if he pushes this as part of his messaging, they will talk about it.
Yeah.
But also, I'm surprised because, it seems like he would be like, oh, I have to see your face at your desk every day.
Yeah,
like,
he does really seem like that
workplace.
kind of thing. But I think the angle here is he doesn't discriminate against rural people. He's willing to he's not going to force his rural employees to go work in the twisted hellscape of Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah. Crime is on the rise in Des Moines, and I just don't feel comfortable. Commuting into the office. My car could be stolen while I'm at work, or someone might forcefully inject me with
another
heroin
big thing
on the street.
Is that he hires Republicans?
Oh yeah, that's in here somewhere.
It does come up.
All right, next up is started a government efficiency program so effective at saving tax dollars that it was copied in other states.
What, you're not going to tell us what it is? It's called pie.
That's the pie.
I mean, everyone knows about that.
Yeah.
You're working against your own branding.
I'm less likely to vote for a candidate who is so into government efficiency that other states are copying his plans. Other states are bad.
Yeah.
You think our state's bad? What if I told you Missouri was copying this government efficiency program?
Yeah, that's right.
Was the only elected official in Iowa to oppose using tax dollars to settle sexual harassment suits against government insiders.
So the Davenport City Council, is this what you're talking about?
I remember reading about this somewhere. It's like some board that he and like Brenna Bird and Robbie Smith are like the only deciding votes on, or some shit. I guess I would vote for that.
I think that's probably good. I mean,
I don't think that those suits should be settled. I think that they should have a very dramatic trial, and the government insider who sexually harassed, I assume, his employee or something, he should have his name completely dragged through the mud. It should be a big media scandal every time. So yes, do not use tax dollars to settle these suits.
Yeah.
All right. As a prosecutor, locked up violent criminals, lottery scammers, abusers of the film tax credit program, and public officials of both parties who stole public dollars. Would you vote for this man?
That was so long ago. The film tax credit thing, that was like 2008 or something.
Yeah.
That was like Chet Culver. Well, I guess that was when Rob was a prosecutor.
Yeah. I don't like this one. I think we need to bring movies back to Iowa.
Yeah.
Since you cracked down on that corruption, where have all the movies gone? We don't have movies being shot here anymore.
Yeah. They had a baseball game with the Field of Dreams, but they didn't make any new films.
There weren't any cameras there.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't scam any tax dollars out of it. And I want to be an extra in the background of a movie that no one will watch.
So that was what I was going to say about, him saving tax dollars. I'm like, whose tax dollars? Because I am all in favor of.
I don't pay taxes.
I mean, if my my taxes went to pay for cool movies, then I'm cool with that. I don't want to support the Iowa National Guard or something like that, but cool movies, that's fucking awesome.
Sure. And I don't mind if somebody skims a little off the top.
Yeah. Because I benefit from seeing a cool piece of art.
Because then I know that a movie like Up on the Rooftop was produced here in my home state, which had a really good joke where a detective didn't know what a dog was.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite part of that movie.
And like, if we don't do that, then they're going to make movies called fucking Cedar Rapids and film them in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Which
is fucking, that's like
dishonest.
That's my single issue is if you're going to name a movie after a city in Iowa, it has to be filmed in Iowa.
Yeah. I think there was maybe one flyover shot that they did of downtown Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
Should we review that on the podcast? The Ed, who's in that movie?
Is it Ed Helms?
Ed Helms. Yes, I couldn't remember his last name. Ed Helms. Yeah. I don't really remember the movie.
It's like a 6 out of 10 movie at best.
Yeah.
It's all right. I mean, it's not bad. It's not good
it had
either.
It had someone from The Wire in it.
It had the guy who played Clay Davis. Clay Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember his name.
Same.
But they're doing a lot of fourth wall breaking. It was annoying. I didn't like that part of it so much.
He does an impression. Okay, I remember more about this movie than I
thing a bunch.
Yeah. Okay. Lottery scammers. I don't care about that. The lottery exists to be scammed. Okay, the next one. Promoted his government staff members to senior positions, even after they gave campaign contributions to his opponent. This is a recipe to get assassinated. This is Julius Caesar stuff.
I like how it kind of implies that they got promoted because they gave money to his opponent.
Keep your enemies closer.
It's not even like
what's happening here.
It's not like he promoted, staff members who disagree with him because they did a good job. He just promoted them apparently because they gave money to his opponent.
And how did he find out about that? Is he like searching all of his employees' names on the FEC website? Is that what? Is that what's going on? Because that's a little weird.
That is a good point.
It's all public information at some point, but like it is a little weird to like look up all of your subordinates' campaign contributions. And like for what purpose? To single them out and give them promotions? And very publicly tell the whole rest of the office, hey, this guy donates to Republicans and I'm going to elevate him here in this office. He's going to have more authority over the rest of you now because he gives his money to the fascist party. And I think that's worthy of respect. Next, the text poll offered a list of characteristics and asked if you would be more or less likely to vote for a candidate who does each, or if it would make no difference in your vote for governor. All right, the first one. We'll place Democrats, Independents, and Republicans in his office leadership. Less likely. How many times can I hit less likely?
Yeah.
Stands up to leaders of both parties to do what's right for Iowa. Fine. Will you actually do that? I don't know. When has he stood up to the leaders of the Democratic Party? Oh, he is one of them. He is the leader of the Democratic Party in Iowa.
Yeah.
Next, criticizes his own party on a regular basis. How regular is that?
Yeah, right.
On what basis?
And for what reason?
What?
Yeah.
Granted, as much as we talk about him, I'm not watching every Rob Sand public appearance. I'm not searching out every public statement he makes. Mm-hmm. I don't recall him ever doing this. Knows government isn't about right versus left, both of those words capitalized. It's about right versus wrong.
So you're on the right either way.
What if we see? I don't really like this framing, obviously, but I do have a little bit of an affinity for like reframing that as like it's not about right versus left, it's about top versus bottom. When you try to like twist it into a class thing.
Yeah.
I think that messaging is sometimes effective. So maybe he should try that. It's not about right versus left. It's about the super wealthy versus the rest of us.
It's not about right versus left because there is no left.
It's about, super rich guys who buy power and influence versus the rest of us who have to suffer under their outsized influence over the system. Like if you had a guy who like owned a big conglomerate and like he installed his son-in-law in a position of statewide power, and then the son-in-law sort of like makes every effort to soften the the divide between like the Democrats and the Republicans. He makes every effort to sort of flatten it and be like, listen, we're all the same. We just want what's best for everybody. Don't think too hard about like the environmental effects of agriculture in particular.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about right versus left. It's about that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my favorite part.
Yeah, the next part is great.
The next questions described things Sand does, again without using his name. For each, respondents were asked to check one of 5 options if you would be more or less likely to vote for a candidate who does each of these things. So same as the previous section. A candidate who goes to church every Sunday. Would you be more or less likely?
Less likely. I don't want any other institutions to influence my representative. You should listen to me and no one else.
Is your allegiance to the people of Iowa or the people of heaven? Come
right.
on. Whose side are you on? Next, owns several guns.
What kind of guns?
Let's see him. More likely. I have to be consistent because of my support for Oliver Wyline. Drives a truck is the next one.
What kind of truck? Is it a Cybertruck?
More or less likely to vote for a candidate who drives a truck. Who cares? Who is going to say that they care about this?
That's literally all Republicans care about, man. Is does this guy drive a big fucking truck that he doesn't need?
Drives a truck. Are you more or less likely to vote for a candidate who drives a truck? It's hard for me. I mean,
honestly, I'm less. I fucking hate trucks. I mean, that's not a truck. That's if you're not hauling stuff. This is my opinion the hill to die on. But if you're not hauling stuff with that truck, it's a car. You're driving a car. You don't deserve truck status.
If it's a long haul trucker, if that's what we're talking about, we're talking about a candidate who pulls trailers as a semi driver, way more likely to vote for them.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah. If you're ever out driving around and there's a huge truck in front of you, huge truck behind you, do you feel good about that? Do you like, and do those people driving those big trucks, are they typically polite drivers, like treating the other cars around them with respect? Do you like big truck drivers, everyone?
I do. I mean, I love to drive behind a big truck because I love efficiency, and that's better gas mileage.
For you, right?
For me, yeah. Well, even if there's a car behind you, it reduces the drag. Yeah. So I'm all about that. I'm all about just driving right behind a big truck.
I guess
but if you're talking about like a Ford F-350 or something, then fuck you.
Yeah. I guess what I was getting at is that whenever I have to deal with the people who drive these big trucks, they're assholes. Like these people, like they own the road and they fucking just pull up in the middle of crosswalks. Like I don't have a positive opinion of most of these people. I don't want them to run for governor. So I don't know. What about loves to fish and hunt? More or less likely.
Literally don't care. Has no bearing.
What if the candidate is married with kids?
Don't care. Has no bearing.
I would change it to
maybe a little
with children. Then people think about Al Bundy. Then they'd be like, this guy's funny. I'm voting for him.
Yeah, this guy shares my values.
This guy hates having sex with his wife. Just like me. And then the last one, born and raised in a small town in rural Iowa. Really depends. What if I told you he's referring to Decorah?
Yeah.
Like the phrasing there, to me, in my mind, I'm picturing just a landscape of dirt with one shack on it. But that's not where he grew up.
Right.
And there's nothing about his past modeling career in here. Would that make you more or less likely to vote for a governor if there were kind of creepy pictures of him as a teenager modeling?
Yeah, nothing about his love for gas stations either.
Eats breakfast pizza for every meal.
Yeah. Only eats at Iowa-based chains. Only eats at Pizza Ranch.
All right, and then the last part of this is a little bit more substantial, I think. It's about measuring the salience of policies and issues. All right, so would you be more likely to vote for a governor who wants to do X, Y, and Z? Ending the school voucher program that uses tax dollars to fund private school tuition for anyone, even the wealthiest households. Yes, obviously, I do want that. Could we make that a little bit more pro-public schools? The phrasing of that would help, I think. Ensuring clean drinking water in Iowa communities and replacing lead pipes. Yeah, that's good. That's good. But I don't trust that you're actually willing to do what needs to be done to improve the water quality of Iowa.
Right.
Where do you get your money, Rob? Is that guy invested in the quality of drinking water for the rest of us? Or is he invested in the very industry that is ruining the water quality in Iowa?
Yeah. Are they invested in wholesale changes, or are they invested in a couple tweaks to cause the heat to decrease, you know?
Like replacing lead pipes.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I mean, which, that is a thing, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, it does need to be done. Where even are lead pipes anymore in Iowa? I don't know.
There's some in Des Moines, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't know. I've heard it's not like a huge issue here. I don't know. I don't trust Rob Sand. I'm more concerned about the nitrates and
right. Which goes along with this other one, reducing rising cancer rates in Iowa. Again, yes, good. But are we going to, like the state legislature did this year, pretend we don't know why it's happening? Ensuring our law enforcement has the resources they need to keep our communities safe. Dislike, less likely. No, extremely less likely. The resources they need is $0. That would keep our communities more safe. Hold chemical companies accountable for pesticides that make Iowans sick. I do like that one.
Yeah, he's talking about Roundup there. Have you seen any of the pro Roundup billboards? It's crazy. There was a law that they were proposing that would basically like shield.
Yeah, you're not allowed to sue them.
Monsanto or whatever from.
They're not responsible for the effects of their products on your health. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was like, I don't know if we talked about this in the pod, but I was, driving on I-80 and there was a billboard that was like, call your legislators, tell them to like save Roundup or whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
It's,
I'm sure there was
fucking dystopian.
Just a groundswell of support for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Please let us keep ingesting Roundup in the air. We love it. Instituting term limits for Iowa politicians. No thanks, dude. All right, here's the one that may be my least favorite of the whole piece. Supporting, all caps, legal immigration, not wide open borders. All right. I mean, if you release a single public statement or any marketing at all that uses this term, Rob, I will not. Yeah. This is zero support from me ever. I will never be nice to you for 1 second.
Using the shittiest framing possible.
Wide open borders. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you? And
he's drawing a distinction between people who don't really exist in the American political scene.
Yeah. It's not just him. Like, the entirety of the Democratic Party basically has completely ceded the argument to the white supremacist, like, xenophobic project. Like, Biden did have totally open borders. You're right. You're right. We had a completely open border. Billions of criminals and drug addicts just pouring over the border every day. Actually, yes, that is what happened for the last 4 years. We were wrong.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I think this is what he was talking about when he was talking about criticizing his own party on a regular basis.
Oh, no.
I mean, literally. I mean, it's like,
when
they mean criticizing the party, they mean criticizing, I mean, I don't know. You know that he's 100% more likely to punch left than he is to punch right. Like if he's going to be criticizing other members of his party, you know who he's going to be criticizing.
Yeah, pulling some strings to make sure Jalen Cavill cannot get one seat in the Iowa legislature.
Mm-hmm. Wonder what he thinks of AOC. I would like to get Rob Sand on the record about what he thinks about AOC.
Yeah. This is one of the best ones on here, too. Standing up to special interests. Like, for example...
yeah.
So vague. You know he's gonna push that one hard because it means nothing. Protecting what's great about rural Iowa, not just focusing on big cities like Des Moines.
Okay.
We need... God, you could really interpret this in a very dark way.
Yeah.
Protecting what's great about rural Iowa. What needs to be protected out there, Rob?
Yeah.
Are there certain children who need to be protected? Like maybe their futures need to be protected? Yeah, not just focusing on big cities like Des Moines. So yeah, that's a glimpse of the future Democratic candidate for governor. These are the kinds of things he's thinking about as he prepares to launch his candidacy. If you have strong opinions about any of the messages that he seems to be weighing here, and you're maybe have less of a history of like lashing out at Rob Sand on the internet, maybe you should get in touch with his people and try to keep him away from that open border shit, especially.
Oh, there's some pretty funny comments on here.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe he could start a podcast like Governor Newsom and talk about hunting and Bible study with Steve King.
That's good. That's good.
Dirk in Iowa City, shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, Dirk in Iowa City has a lot of comments on here. Okay, well, this is not like totally Iowa related, but you know, this thing about Rob sending this text poll out coincided with a really high profile article about Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And like, I assume that this article is going to do the rounds on like every politics podcast, I assume, because it's just like outrageous.
Yeah.
It's like 20 pages and it's just about like how crazy John Fetterman is. And okay, like this is not strictly Iowa related. However, I just immediately remembered when John Fetterman was, he came here to Iowa in late 2023, November 2023. And, God, what was it? He headlined the, I got a note about this somewhere.
Oh yeah. It was some like Iowa Democrats like dinner.
Yeah. Let me
some fundraising.
The Liberty and Justice celebration.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. This was November 4th of 2023. Think about what was in the news at that time. What had, I mean, it's in the news now as well, but what had just heated up? November 2023. What happened like maybe about a month before that? Right? And what has John Fetterman like dug his heels in about the most and become more and more aggressive about? Israel, right? And I don't know that we really talked about this at the time, but while John Fetterman was in Iowa to headline the Liberty and Justice celebration for the Iowa Democratic Party, he palled around with Rob Sand the whole time. They shot a bunch of stupid videos together, going to gas stations and ray gun together. So Rob Sand really tied himself to John Fetterman while Fetterman was very aggressively defending Israel and their right to slaughter as many innocent people as they can. That didn't deter Rob Sand at all. He was like, yeah, this dude's cool. I like this guy. And I think that associating myself with his brand will be really good for my ambitions. I have the video here of them eating pizza at Come and Go. I don't think that we should maybe watch it, but I have this tweet from Rob Sand on November 4th, 2023, which is just Sand, handshake emoji, Fetterman, breakfast, handshake emoji, pizza, and then ethanol, handshake emoji, milk. Yes, they made a point in their stupid little video of them eating gas station pizza. They made a point of supporting ethanol at the end of this video.
He's talking about a white Russian. He's just his thing. That's his favorite drink.
Just pour yourself a glass of milk, walk out to the pump, just like give a little.
Yeah.
Just a few drops of the E85 in there. Gives you a really nice mix. And then, Fetterman quote tweeted, "There's only one way to start the day off in Iowa, eating some breakfast pizza with my dude at Rob Sand, Iowa." So they are dudes. They are bros. Rob Sand, John Fetterman. They are friends. They eat pizza together, which is something good to keep in mind as I read a few excerpts from the where is this from? I forgot where this article is from.
New York Mag, I think.
Yes, New York Magazine. A piece about John Fetterman by Ben Terrace. This came out 2 days ago, May 2nd. Here's just a couple things here. And it seems like the main source for this article is Adam Gentleson, who is Fetterman's former chief of staff, who inexplicably follows me on Twitter, despite me posting mean things about him on a regular basis, as Fetterman, made himself number one Israel man over the past 2 years.
Welcome to the resistance.
Adam Gentlesir. All right, quote from Gentleson here about Fetterman's mental state. When was this? This was May of 2024. So this is like a year after he had the stroke, I believe. Mm-hmm. All right, just a few notes on his mental state about it a year later. Conspiratorial thinking. Megalomania. For example, he claims to be the most knowledgeable source on Israel and Gaza around, but his sources are just what he reads in the news. He declines most briefings and never reads memos. High highs and low lows, long, rambling, repetitive, and self-centered monologues, lying in ways that are painfully, awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room. But he's a good hang at the gas station. The stroke in 2022 made it difficult for Fetterman to communicate, which was painfully evident in his one televised debate with Dr. Oz. I just wonder if that's if that has anything to do with his adamant defense of Joe Biden, which was the main focus of his speech at the Liberty and Justice celebration in November of 2023 in Iowa.
Yeah.
Right. So people know who John Fetterman is, but my whole conception of him is he cynically aligned himself with Bernie Sanders in 2016 and sort of rode the coattails of that sort of progressive wave or whatever, while himself personally being a middle of the road kind of conservative Democrat in many ways.
Yeah, for sure.
There's
a lot of
not uncommon. Yeah.
I was going to say, a lot of Bernie 2016 supporters who maybe weren't so progressive and maybe just kind of latched on because it was, against Hillary. Sure. Yeah.
It was a big, exciting thing that could have, it was different. Something to latch onto. Yeah. So there's a bit in this article about how he bucks his party in certain ways. He can chop it up with manosphere chieftains like Joe Rogan while maintaining. You like that description?
Manosphere chieftain. Okay. They have fucking ranks.
I mean, he would be the top, right?
Yeah, for sure he would.
So he can chop it up with Joe Rogan while maintaining his strong stance on trans rights. Okay, this is just presented objectively here in the article. John Fetterman has a strong stance on trans rights. This kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I Googled John Fetterman trans rights, looked for recent articles about this. Most recently, this is reported by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette in December of 2024. John Fetterman backs defense policy bill despite ban on transgender care. This passed 85 to 14. Yeah. Despite a House Republican provision preventing federal funds from being spent on gender-affirming care for transgender children of Americans serving in the military, and he voted for this while saying, "I'm unapologetically supportive of our national defense and the trans community." Well, it seems like you weigh one a little more heavily than the other. I just didn't like the assertion that he has a strong stance on trans rights. Well, he's very willing to throw them under the bus. Here's a bit about Adam Gentleson. Gentleson continues to believe broadly in the Fetterman project, that Democrats would benefit from punching left more often. and that voters crave a heterodox candidate willing to stick a thumb in the eye of his own party. Sound familiar?
Yeah, very familiar.
Sound like somebody else might be following in those very large footsteps?
Yeah, they are big feet.
He says his disagreements with Fetterman are, by and large, not political, but rather an expression of genuine worry for Fetterman's well-being. So it's very important that we recognize that Adam Gentleson doesn't disagree with all of Fetterman's enthusiastic, undying support for genocide. It's very important we remember that it's not a political disagreement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could really take politics out of most of the stuff in this article and then still be like, yeah, there's no way that John Fetterman should still be serving.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The stuff about him driving, is insane.
Yeah. I've got that highlighted somewhere.
And then him, just not taking his meds after, repeated health scares. And,
right, yeah, he was convinced. Well, this is pretty common. I don't like the way I feel on these meds, or I'm better now, so I stopped taking them. It seems like he's a victim of that thing.
And I'm sympathetic to all that, but yeah, it's I don't know if you're really the one for this job at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the driving part is what I got. One example here. He drives recklessly. He FaceTimes, texts, and reads entire news articles while driving. And I don't mean while stopped at a light or something. He reads and FaceTimes while driving at high speeds. This was part of Adam Gentleson's letter. That is the main source for this article. Less than a month later, this would be May 2024 still. Less than a month later, Fetterman caught a red-eye flight back from Los Angeles after taping an episode of Bill Maher's show. His staff urged him to have someone pick him up from the airport and drive him home, but he refused. Just before 8 a.m., according to a police report, Fetterman was traveling at well over the 70-mile-per-hour speed limit on I-70 when he smashed his Chevy Traverse into the back of a 62-year-old woman's Impala, totaling both cars. Giselle, who's his wife, who had been in the back seat, suffered a pulmonary contusion and spinal fractures. Fetterman, calling from the side of the road, told a staffer he'd fallen asleep at the wheel and handed the phone to a police officer.
Not great.
What the fuck? Okay, I do really want to talk about the November of 2023, because that is part of this article. They don't talk about him going to Iowa, but it's something to keep in mind. This is what Fetterman was in the news for. This is what he was spending his time doing while he was visiting Iowa, palling around with Rob Sand, who wants to be our next governor, and is aligning himself with this. All right. The days after the October 7th, 2023 attack in Israel, progressives began calling for a ceasefire to at least pause the carnage. Fetterman felt differently. Now is not the time to talk about a ceasefire, he posted on October 18th. We must support Israel in efforts to eliminate the Hamas terrorists who slaughtered innocent men, women, and children. And what's been happening since then, John? Who's doing the innocent slaughtering now? If his base was surprised by this, perhaps they hadn't been paying enough attention. While Israel had not been a prominent issue in his various campaigns, Fetterman had been talking about his support for the country for years, which just popped into my head. One of the earliest articles about, or interviews that Rob Sand did as a politician, was about enforcing the anti-BDS law in Iowa. Right? So he's totally on board with this as well. I'm not really a progressive in that sense, he said while campaigning in 2022. There's no daylight between myself and these kinds of unwavering commitments to Israel's security. Still, it wasn't until October 7th that it became clear Fetterman was the most outspoken Israel hawk in his party. And that is an accomplishment. That
really is.
Outspoken Israel hawk in the Democratic Party of the United States. Offering constant and unconditional support for the military action in Gaza. Early on in the conflict, 16 of his former campaign staffers wrote a letter anonymously saying they found his full-throated support for Israel to be a gutting betrayal. Gentleson had taken to defending Fetterman on X from such criticisms, posting, "The thing about being a staffer is that no one elected you to represent them." I remember him posting that. For some reason, when Fetterman was in Iowa, his chief of staff followed me on Twitter.
well, you're an influential voice in the state, so he's just trying to. he's networking.
Yeah. Okay. This is the really big part here. In early November, just weeks after the attack, Giselle arrived at her husband's Senate office, and according to a staffer present, they got into a heated argument. "They are bombing refugee camps. How can you support this?" the staffer recalled her saying with tears in her eyes. This is his wife. This is his wife begging him to stop being an Israel freak. "That's all propaganda," Fetterman replied.
I don't know if that's propaganda. I think that's pretty well documented at this point.
It's propaganda.
Well, even at the time, it was pretty well fucking documented.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they had no shame about it. They were doing it, and they liked doing it, and they were proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Israeli propaganda.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, they are committing atrocities and bragging about it. Later, a still visibly upset Giselle pulled the staffer aside. She asked him if members of Fetterman's team were pushing him to take these stances for political reasons. The staffer told her that the opposite was true. Many of them were just upset as she was. So his staff was like, "Please, God, stop."
Yeah, I mean, how embarrassing. How embarrassing to be connected with this guy. It's also like interesting that like all of this stuff has kind of been known. Like I remember, that story about his wife breaking around the same time, like that she wasn't on board with his stance on Israel. And then all of the videos of him, like he confronted those like Sunrise Movement protesters and other, pro-Palestinian protesters in like very ways that like, you're like, yeah, this guy is like not right. Like he shouldn't be, like he probably shouldn't be like allowed to be in public talking to these people. Like,
it's not even like he was just like rudely shutting them down. He acts like a child. Like he's like a playground bully to these people. Yeah. It's like he taunts them.
Yeah. It's very weird. Very weird.
A few days later, Giselle texted a different staffer, I am at breaking point and I can't co-sign this any longer. I'd love some help in language to separate myself from this. Can anyone help me?" This is a completely dysfunctional like office. This is one of the 100 most powerful people in the country, and it's like his wife is begging his staff for to help her write a statement distancing herself from her senator husband.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Here's another potential connection to Rob Sand. Giselle might have disliked what her husband was up to, but his father loved it. Carl Fetterman, an insurance executive, was way more conservative than his son. He used to have a magnet on his refrigerator that warned that his dog bites Democrats, and he watched Fox News constantly. When Fox would air segments about Fetterman's strong stances on Israel or invite him on as a guest, the senator's father would, according to former staff, almost always call to say how proud he was. So there's like a conservative father figure in the background, cheering him on, goading him into pushing these like more right-wing stances in public. And, we know that there's a similar figure in the background of the Sand dynasty.
For sure. And John Fetterman's background is also very wealthy. Like his parents had a lot of money.
Very wealthy background. However, how does he present himself?
Right.
As a political figure. It's like, "Oh, I'm from this small dirt town." Right?
Yeah. Instead of doing bow hunting and stuff, he just wears Carhartt hoodies all the time. But it's similar. It definitely is similarity there.
Yeah, there is some stuff about guns in here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fetterman bought a gun at some point. He says he has a biometric safe and takes all the necessary precautions. And living where he does, I understand the desire for personal protection. Gentleson wrote, referring to Fetterman's rough and tumble town of Braddock, Pennsylvania. Yes, not the first time John Fetterman, gun, Braddock has been, a point of concern. Still, I feel like a lot of people don't know about this.
Downplay that too. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a black man jogging in Braddock, and Fetterman pulled a shotgun on him. I like the guy was doing nothing, just being outside, and Fetterman was like, "That's suspicious." Points a fucking shotgun at the guy. And this was a long time ago, way before he was in national politics. And we mentioned Jalen Cavill earlier. I remember the first time we talked to him on the podcast, he brought that up after the mics were off because Fetterman was running for. Was that when he was running for like governor? Because that was 2020. When I just remember talking to Jalen about that and like realizing, oh wow, yeah, this guy's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were really on board with Fetterman when he was running against Oz. I mean, that was, a different time, I guess. And I don't know, probably better for him than Oz in the Senate. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of people were like,
kind of a wash, though.
more support than he deserved.
Well,
especially, given that this stuff was at least the pulling the gun on the black jogger thing was already well known.
And I also want to point out that a big part of that Senate campaign against Dr. Oz, a lot of the reason he got, enthusiastic support from people who, maybe should be a little bit more discerning with their money and their vocal support. It was all of his epic posting.
Right.
Like that was like maybe the primary concern of the Fetterman 2022 Senate campaign was how awesome can my tweets be?
Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, he had a stroke, so like we have to be sympathetic. Like, I don't know if that. There's a lot of talk about how that was going to hurt him, but I don't think it really did in the long run because it was kind of made him more sympathetic.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, just the concern, the preoccupation with like how epic can my tweets be? Like again, I see a parallel. Like.
Yeah.
Rob Sands' social media presence, constantly posting selfies, videos of himself buying gas station food. It's masking his intentions, I guess. Maybe that's not a fair way to talk about it, but just sort of branding himself as a personality rather than these are the things I believe and will push as a person with authority and power.
Right.
I do think this is interesting. So all of this stuff about like the conflict between John and his wife Giselle, that's all coming from like text messages and like statements from former staffers. That's like the source for the article. But when asked about it, in a statement, Giselle suggested Gentleson was part of a conspiracy to damage her husband's reputation, saying Gentleson fed her scary, untrue stories about John's health. By the way, also, this article refers to his actual medical records many times. So it's not just stories, it's like actual documents from doctors. She added, I would talk to John's doctors about what Adam was telling me, and they would be confused. Those doctors would tell me that their concerns were not with John, but with Adam. I'm not a fan of really any of these people after reading this article. Like, everybody seems like a real cynical piece of shit here.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also very echoes like the Biden stuff.
Right. Because at its center is a guy who's clearly like not cognitively capable of having such a stressful job.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be stressful though. Like, I don't think senators really do anything.
Well, this article basically says that he doesn't do anything. He doesn't read memos.
Yeah.
There's like days where like he's having a bad mood day and he just like hangs out and doesn't like talk to anyone. They're like, we can't like have him around people right now.
Yeah.
Like
if he has good days and bad days thing was also a Biden.
Absolutely.
Like, sort of rationalization or whatever.
And if your job is to talk to people and represent people, like, I don't know if that's a great fit.
There's also a bit in here. So after Trump won the 2024 election, Fetterman flew down to Mar-a-Lago to like have a meeting with him. And one of the things afterwards, or no, he said this directly to the guy who wrote this article. Fetterman said about Trump, his faculties haven't slipped at all. And I'm sure he's a great judge of that.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously.
People may recall during the campaign, there was a Trump rally where he just sort of like stood on the stage in silence, and they just like turned the house music on, and he just fucking stood there staring at people for like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
That's a guy whose brain is still running at 100%. He's the same guy he was in the 80s. I mean, he's fine. He deleted himself from the Democratic Caucus group chat. I love that part. In early February, Fetterman met with Jeremy Ben-Ami, the leader of the progressive Jewish organization J Street. Over the course of Israel's campaign against Gaza, J Street has walked a difficult line, calling itself pro-peace and pro-Israel, a Zionist institution that isn't afraid to take shots at Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Something I don't want to wade too deeply into, but I wonder if you can like just sort of pin everything on one guy, and then the rest of it will go away if he goes away. Is that the tactic here? The organization lives in a gray area, but during the meeting, it became clear that Fetterman saw things in black and white. You can't reform a carton of sour milk, Fetterman told Ben-Ami, according to notes from the meeting. You can't reform a carton of sour milk. What's he talking about there? I just watched a video of him drinking a big glass of milk at a gas station.
That's true. He knows milk. He knows milk well, this man. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds pretty fucking racist.
It says here he was referring to the Palestinians when he said that.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fucking horrible thing to say.
Fetterman said he did not believe in a two-state solution and claimed he had never met an Arab person who would condemn Hamas.
Shut the fuck up, man. Being a fucking a Zionist Democrat and you can't get along with J Street, like, the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah,
like this is, there should be no difference.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the Democratic Party's position, is it not? like completely pro-Israel while like paying lip service to like,
yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't go as far as they're going with some of this stuff. Correction, the notes from the meeting stated, only a single Arab he has met with that staff was present for wouldn't outright condemn Hamas. I wonder who that was. That's a cool person. The one person who refuses to condemn Hamas when being, bullied by this huge man. Like,
yeah.
Will you condemn Hamas? Will you condemn Hamas? The only thing he cares about is just getting you to concede to him. This guy who knows fucking nothing. Just an absolute idiot. But he has authority over you, so he can demand you say whatever he wants you to say, and then he wins. He's won the conversation because he got you to condemn Hamas, which means Israel gets to do whatever they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is not a smart man. This is not a man who should not be able to make decisions for the rest of us. I mean, I feel this way about probably every senator.
Yeah, pretty much.
But this is a particularly egregious example, I think. Fetterman went on to make statements that shocked people. In opposing a ceasefire, he said, "Let's get back to killing." A person who heard the conversation told me, he said, "Kill them all." Just an awful, awful person. Remember that conservative dad of his, Carl Fetterman? I'm picturing Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's Carl Fetterman in my mind. That's not very fair to Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, though. That guy was pretty cool, I think. Carl Fetterman seems worse. So his father had a heart attack, a really bad heart attack. And Fetterman says, "I'll never miss an opportunity to have dinner with him and talk to him now." Talking about his father who had like a near-death experience. Which, that's a very relatable sentiment. That like these near tragedies sort of like put things into perspective, right? But I just feel like that contrasts pretty strongly with this part from a couple pages before. In March, Fetterman suddenly took an early morning trip to Hartford, Connecticut without telling his team why, leaving them at a loss for what to tell Giselle when she demanded to know why he was missing one of their kids' birthdays.
Oh, man. Justice for Giselle. I mean,
maybe. I like the story about her like trying to beg him to stop being an Israel freak. Like, you know, it makes me feel very bad. But then her response to this journalist is like, everything Adam Gentleson says to you is a lie. None of these staffers can be trusted. I've never had a fight with my husband. And then, like, also, I mean, it should be mentioned, the videos of him and Rob Sand hanging out at the gas station, she was there.
Yeah.
Right? Which, if the timeline of this article is accurate, that's like simultaneous with her like desperate pleas for him to stop like calling for 100% genocide. So it's a hard thing to figure out, but like she seems to be fine with the attention and status that comes with being married to a senator. I don't know. She should leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know what she signed up for.
Yeah.
But it's a sad situation.
It's sad and it's bad.
It's both. Yes, it is both.
Pennsylvanians, please do not continue this. Get him out of there. It's not good. We can't keep doing this. Yeah. So that, again, you know, not 100% Iowa related, but you know, if Rob Sand wants to be our governor and he wants to align himself so closely with the big Pennsylvania, different kind of Democrat guy, you know, warts and all, you got to take the whole picture. You want to be associated with John Fetterman? This is what he was doing while you were hanging out with him.
You think Rob Sand is going to go on Gavin Newsom's podcast?
He would love to do that.
I feel like he would love to do that also.
He won't come on our little podcast.
Yeah,
though.
he won't.
Despite whatever PR firm he hired emailing us, asking us to have him on.
Yeah, I saw you replied to him on Blue Sky, and he never got back to you. Also,
yeah. He loves ignoring his potential constituents.
Yeah, no, you are a constituent. He represents. He's the only
true. I guess
statewide elected Democrat.
I guess the powerless auditor. I am technically his constituent for all the good that does. Yep, Mr. Left Puncher. That's him. Good luck to him next year.
I mean,
I won't be helping.
I'm not going to help him. I'm also not ruling out that. I mean, he might. This might be exactly what Iowans want. They want a nonpartisan, anti-partisan, middle of the road. We're gonna have a centrist renaissance because all this Trump stuff's just too crazy. Yeah, for sure. It's not that it's all necessarily bad. It's just a little bit too chaotic and wild. Yeah, and once the centrist wins, we'll just go back to all the stuff that led us to Trump in the first place. The cycle continues. It will never change, thanks to people like Rob Sand and his father-in-law. All right. Really good way to end the show. We feel great about that, huh? Yeah. All right, this is it, folks. This is the week of the very first Rock Hard Caucus live show. So please come out on Wednesday. We'll be at Film Scene in Iowa City at the Chauncey. We have some really fun things planned. We're going to watch some movies from Means TV, including Out of Office, a documentary filmed, directed by our friend Will Roberts from Cedar Rapids, who will be there at the show, and we will give him a mic at some point. Pay what you can tickets also. So you don't have to be a rich person to come to the show. And whatever you do pay for your ticket is going to the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund, which you know needs money because they are trying to make sure trans people can't get any Medicaid coverage. I don't think that's been signed or anything yet, but that's what's been going around in the legislature recently. Certainly helped along by Steve Holt's removal of gender from the Civil Rights Act of Iowa. So there's a lot of bullshit going on targeting these people. They need some help from the Mutual Aid Fund. So our movie theater tickets will be going to helping them out with some money. Was there something else I was going to say about that? That's probably all we need to say. Wednesday, May 7th, Film Scene. Me and Evan will be there talking and watching movies and then talking again. A few days after that, I am playing a music show at Hell, the Iowa City venue, Hell, May 10th, along with D. Jean-Baptiste from Chicago and local Denny Richards, who if you've ever been to Gabe's, you know Denny. And Denny is also part of the band Lou Sherry, which is a great local band. May 10th at Hell Music.
Oh, yeah, I should also let our listeners know I was recently on Brian Quinby's Guys podcast on his Patreon. I was on an episode of Guys Plus, which did you listen
to that? I did listen to that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
If you want to hear my thoughts on single guys at swingers clubs, it's a good listen.
Get them out. Get them out of there.
I made the theme music for that show, by the way, too. So if you want to hear like a minute of heavy metal that I wrote, it's the Guys Plus theme. That's at patreon.com/Guys Podcast. We're on Patreon too, by the way. Patreon.com/RockHardCaucus. Where, Tony and I, our friend Tony, we review Sonic the Hedgehog comics for Speed Freak Read Speak. Evan and I listen to voicemails on Rock Hard Call Us. You can call 319-849-8733 to leave a voicemail for that series. We also read books on there. There's a book club series that come about every once in a while. We read Perry Johnson's book earlier this year. That was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's all at patreon.com/RockHardCaucus. The barrier to entry is $1 per month. So if you are interested in supporting the podcast and hearing more of that stuff I was just describing, $1 a month. It's not so bad, right?
Pretty cheap.
All right. Time to end the show with some local music. Another Iowa City band, God's Hand, recently released a 7-inch. It's got 2 songs on it. I really like the second song on it, which is called Gift of Flowers. So that's what I'm going to play now. Gift of Flowers by God's Hand. Really great local band. If you make music, you listen to the show, you live around here, please send us your music. We could play it on the podcast, maybe. Go to rockhardcock.us, click the link at the top to submit your music. That's all. See you Wednesday, everyone.
Have you ever played God Hand on PS2?
No. That's like a...
It's a beat 'em up, but it's like very weird Japanese beat 'em up that has a bunch of strange stuff in it. Anyway.
No, I've never played that.
It's a good time. Check
God
that out.
Hand. Yeah.
Check out God's Hand or check out God Hand.
Yeah. Listen to God's Hand now and go back and play God Hand on PS2. And then we'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Cascading down from the most platform into the chessboard of